You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
The Herons are champs. Yeah. Roll south to Freedom Park, rocking pink and black. Official tissue in the 305, bounty full of greats. The Battered Fan with Chris and Dan dropping hot takes. Messi and the Herons start the season with a star on the crest. So 29 fan bases can cry, cause we the best. Sign homegrowns like Noah, Frey and Ruiz, replacing goats with greats. Yeah, Miles got the cheese and he called it. Freedom to dream was the backbone. From Lockhart to Miami, it feels good to be at home. Multiple times a week on YouTube and audio. Take the time to subscribe, like and share the show. So check and chat, grab your MLS cup and come in. No question about it, I'm ready to get a star again.
No question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the Herons are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 527 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Garant, alongside me, as always, Mr. KBD. How are you doing, sir?
I'm just here rocking my daughter's new hat that I got from the stadium. I forgot to premiere this bad boy.
When I went with my daughter 2 weeks ago, she fell in love with that thing. I should have got it for her this past weekend.
Yeah. This is for sure a have to buy.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks is that it doesn't have the Inter Miami. It's just literally just freedom to dream.
Yeah, it's freedom to dream. Like I don't want this like new stadium trying to sell me this propaganda.
Freedom to dream is propaganda. I feel like it's a nice slogan.
Whatever.
All right. So we are here, State of the Herons. We do this once a month. We get a guest to come on here and help us out. Just talk about the state of the Herons, what we feel they're at, how we're feeling about the team, where we think the team is going. In the words of Chris, is it over? Are we cooked? You know, all that other good stuff. So we are going to address all of that. And this month we got one of the best. We got Mr. Scotty from Drv Pink. What's going on, man? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you guys having me on as always. It's always a lot of fun, and I'm glad I didn't shave my beard so I could fit in a little bit with you guys, although you guys got me outgrown by a little bit there. But
I regret growing this.
No, everyone's looking good, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Everybody's looking good off the pitch. On the pitch is the conversation today, because I don't know how we're feeling about on the pitch. On the pitch has been questionable. But to put things in perspective, because on Twitter, I put they've lost 2 games, and at this point, they've only lost 2 of their last 20 matches. And you replied, well, you could technically count the CCC as a loss. And that's the debate that we had on our last show, right, Chris?
Man.
Where we did the poll. I said it's not a loss, it's an elimination. Semantics. Chris says it's a loss. I know, Scotty, you say it's a loss. How are you feeling about the team in general?
Well, first I want to clarify. If you're talking to a Nashville fan, it's a draw. It's definitely a draw. But when we're talking about how our coaching, how we're doing as a team, I think it's a loss. So, it's a very interesting world we're in. 3 weeks ago, we would be having a very different conversation because we would be in a very normal mode. Javier Mascherano would be here. We'd be talking about, can Herman Berterame get going, or how do we get the goalkeeper set, and all of these topics that I'm sure we will touch on today. But once Mascherano leaves and we get this new interim coach, Guillermo Hoyos, it is kind of a separate period of time for the Herons where we're trying to stay above water, trying to get things going, but it's not quite as crucial that we get everything perfect. It's not crucial that we, make every right decision. We kind of got to figure out what we have here, and it's kind of interesting that this all leads into a nice, healthy break for us during the World Cup that allows us to kind of reset at the end of it. But we're kind of in a holding pattern here, just trying to enjoy it, I think.
I have a question about that, because I think in other instances with other teams, you can comfortably say this is a new point moving forward, new chapter kind of stuff. But like, I feel like, I guess maybe because of Messi and RDP and like the level of players that we have, is that something that's like cool? Is that something acceptable, really?
Well, we're here to win trophies. That's what this project is about. And there are no trophies to be won over the next 8 weeks. And so by the time we get back into trophy winning season at the end of the World Cup, I think we're going to have a new head coach. I think we're going to be playing with a couple new players. I think this roster might look a little different. And so when you think about it that way, it's kind of hard to get excited about the trophies right now because everything is going to change so dramatically by the time we get to that point. So I do think it is kind of a holding pattern where let's just go win a couple games, have some highlight reel goals, and have some fun moments. And if we're still hanging around at the end of this, it'll be a good spot for whoever comes next.
Can I just quickly intervene here? Because I see a lot of people started writing loss in the comments because I say it's not a loss, it's an elimination. For anybody that watches or keeps up with the Portuguese league, Benfica at the moment, undefeated. They have not lost a game. There's a good chance that they don't win the trophy at the end of the season because they have less points than I believe it's Porto. Although Porto has lost, they haven't drawn as much as Benfica. So has Benfica lost? No. Are they going to win a trophy? No. So you can go undefeated, not lose, and still be eliminated. Okay, so I leave it there.
You're still a loser, though.
That's fine, but we didn't lose. You didn't get the trophy. You didn't lose.
Okay, whatever. Go.
All right. I'm sorry. All right. So, Scotty, what do you think we need to improve the most when you look at this team? Because there's a lot of areas that I feel are lacking, right? Our defense we thought would be better when we picked up Mikael. Everybody thought that Mura and Region would be upgrades. Mura, I don't know what you think. I don't think it's been an upgrade from Frey. I think Frey is still the far better right back. Region, as expected, paper mache. And then you have our wingers. I thought that it was a question mark if Silvetti could keep up what he was doing last year. I think he's looked okay, not great. Allende was exactly what I expected him to be. And in the midfield, Rodrigo de Paul can't do what Busquets does, although he's being tasked to. So just a lot of question marks. What would you say is priority? Where do you think we have the biggest gap or biggest need of improvement?
I think it has to be the defense, and not just the back four, but the team playing defense. How do you integrate the midfield and the goalkeeper into that? I think of all the players we thought would be the biggest upgrade this year, it was Dane St. Clair in goal compared to what we were getting last year, and that hasn't been the case. And then the defense, the back line, I think, has been a little bit too leaky. It has been, I think, their own fault. A little bit of over aggressiveness has led some holes going the other direction, and I'm not sure the rest of the team has really filled in to help sort of balance that out in an effective way. And then you talk about the defense. The midfield defensively. You know, you put Yannick Bright in for Sergio Busquets, and you would think massive upgrade defensively, but it's still only a two-man midfield, or for much of the season, it's only been a two-man midfield, and that is, in and of itself, hard to win and protect your back line if you are one guy or two guys doing everything and having responsibilities going both ways. So I think the biggest thing is figure out how to give up less goals, and then there's other things we got to work on. How do we get Berterame? How do we make this midfield more impactful? Do we continue with this goalkeeper long term, or do we have to shake things up there? But first things first, let's give up less clear-cut opportunities going the other way. And I think that does start with your center backs more than anything. And that's priority number one, I think.
It's weird, though, because like we were talking, months ago about how comfortable we felt with Falcone playing back there. And then all of a sudden we add Mikael, and then Lujan is like the third, fourth guy that we're like, okay, well, we'll bring him on whenever everybody's just dying of injuries. And like Lujan's panning out to be a better center back at times, just considering the sample size. Like it seems like Falcone has just dropped off the face of the earth at this point.
Yeah, I think you see it just like I do. I think Mikael has had maybe one or two poor games this year, but has been pretty good otherwise. And then Gonzalo Lujan, I came on this show last year and said some very not nice things about Gonzalo Lujan, but he has been he's been a very nice, he's on a very nice redemption arc this year. And if it was me, I would be having those two start and seeing what it looked like. I think when you go back to our best defensive record this season, as we were coming out of the gate, we gave up a couple goals to Orlando City and to LAFC in that first game. But then Maxi Falcone got hurt for 2 weeks. And that might be our best defensive period of the season when it was Gonzalo, Lujan, and Mikael. So I'm not sure how we got here. I think it's not something I would have predicted 3 months ago, but I do think we're here, and I think Maxi Falcone probably shouldn't be starting on a regular basis, and that would go a long way to sort of fixing this, in my opinion.
I feel like Danny's looking at extensive statistics for David Ayala.
No, I wasn't. But now I should bring up David Ayala. When it comes to position battles, because we have a few, I feel. The Mura Frey is interesting. I feel like Frey is just discriminated by all new coaches. I don't know if they don't like reggae music. I don't know if they don't like the ganja. I don't know what it is, but they refuse to start Frey until he forces his way into their starting lineup. Then you have David Ayala and Bright. Now, Ayala to me has been a ghost. I don't even know how to judge him because I feel like when he's on the pitch, I do not see him. I don't know if he's played well. I don't know if he's played poorly. I don't know if he's ever touched the ball. David Ayala, I have a hard time judging. And then when it comes to the attack, I'm not sure if they're consistently want to go with Silvetti. I don't know if Segovia is the option. Allende is still out there. But let's start with Mura and Frey. Are you on the let's keep giving Mura a shot?
No. I think we've seen enough from Facundo Mora at this point to know he's a like he can play 1 out of every 3 games and I'll be fine. Like it doesn't have to be relegated to just complete bench role, but what we've seen over the last week where he just gets 3 straight stars without much of an impact, that I really makes me uncomfortable. If you look at the number of minutes played, Ian Frey under 400, Facundo Mora about 650. It's not even really that close. And to me, you watch Ian Frey and it's clear he's the better player. So I don't know how we get back to this every time. And, I thought one of the things we really wanted from Facundo Mora, whether he was going to be the starter or not, was just an improvement on Chelo Wegan. And I'm not sure we got that. Yeah.
No way.
No, I don't think we got that at all. But I was a Cello apologist, though, so I might be biased.
You were going to say something, Scotty? Go ahead.
The thing about Cello is he had like an upgraded level of athleticism compared to Facundo Mora. So when the intensity of a game really rose, he could rise to that level as well. I haven't seen that from Facundo Mora, and so it's kind of just relying on his base talent, and it's kind of iffy, I think, for this level, at least for this team that's trying to win every game.
And I just wanted to mention, Danny, in case you were looking at advanced statistics of Ayala, I looked at him and his performance recently because you were asking. He played 73 minutes against Charlotte in Game 4. He played 90 minutes against NYCFC. Then he played 58 minutes against Austin. I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than that. He was on the bench a couple times, but other than that, he wasn't on the squad, especially in the last 3 games because of the injury.
Well, I will tell you, until Mura gives me something like this, I want no parts of him. This is what I need. I need this back right here. This is what I need back. Give me backup Cello. I want backup Cello back. Apparently, he's not doing very good in both.
Man.
Yeah, man.
It's the intensity. Yeah.
So let's go with Rodrigo De Paul. Rodrigo De Paul seems to be a bit of an enigma. I was at the stadium. He got almost the loudest pop when introduced, obviously right behind Messi, because nobody gets as loud a pop as Messi. But everybody still seems to love Rodrigo De Paul. I think he's significantly underperformed. If he came on here like Luis Suarez on a TAM deal, regular salary, I think I would have been fine with what he's doing. But because he's taking up one of those valuable 3DP spots, I've been very unimpressed and disappointed with his performance. What do you think of Rodrigo De Paul on this team so far?
I might be inconsistent here, but obviously with the amount of money that was paid for him, you want a difference maker, and he has not been that. Granted, he does have the big moment in the MLS Cup final, so I don't want to take that from him. But he's the cost was twice as much as any other defensive central midfielder in the history of the league, and he doesn't play like that. There's no doubt about that. So the question is he living up to the contract? No. But is he going to live up to holding a DP spot? I thought the first month of the season, there was a step up from him. And he did try and take control of the midfield. And I thought we saw some really nice performances with like a mistake or two in each game that really kind of held back from people really getting excited about him. He left after that Nashville second leg. He didn't play in the next game. He had a knee injury or bruise or something. And then he apparently didn't play particularly well with Argentina on international break. And he came back, and I don't think he's been quite as good. It feels like, to me, the intensity levels dropped a little bit. So is he worth the price tag? Definitely not, and I don't think he's going to get there. Can he be good enough to justify the DP spot? Like, it's even that I think is maybe a stretch, but I think there's bigger problems on this team right now, and even uses of DP spots. So I'm sort of afraid to be too critical on that decision right now.
And Danny, just to finish up, I guess with Rodrigo de Paul, unless you have other points, but. Like, I think if it wasn't for that outside the box goal, I think he wouldn't have as much sort of room for flexibility, like from the fan base or from a lot of people. Like, that goal was beautiful, but that's not something that he normally does. That's not in his wheelhouse.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Inter Miami this season, almost every game, and for most of Mascherano's tenure, they've played a two-man midfield. And it is just a ton of responsibility for the two guys that are in there. And, okay, if it's Rodrigo de Paul and Sergio Busquets, they can handle it well enough to get you results. But I think Rodrigo de Paul would really benefit from having a little bit more firepower in the midfield, just from a numbers perspective. Him and Yannick Bright, I think, have done especially Yannick Bright has done a really admirable job of kind of holding down the midfield, but they are sort of at a disadvantage at the start of every single game. And so they're being asked to do that. That's the job. That's the role. You want to get your wide players up there, and have them have their impact. But like, I think if we set this team up in a way that supported those two a little bit more, it might really bring out more from Rodrigo de Paul. So I think there's more in there. I do.
But like last year when we were playing that double pivot with Busquets and Rodrigo de Paul, I mean, defensively we were suffering back then also. Right. I mean, Busquets didn't give us anything defensively. That's your point, that we haven't figured out. It's not so much the player, but it's the way we're playing. It's the formation and the tactics that haven't changed, and I don't know if that's going to change. Hoyos changed to that 3 in the back because of the injuries and the suspensions, I would assume. Because I think that once we're fully healthy, I think we're going to go straight to 4 in the back like we did in the second half. Which, by the way, I blame him for choosing to take out Noah Allen's having a good first half and keeping Muda on, which wasn't having a good first half, and then putting him out on the left side, which made absolutely no sense to me, bringing Allende on. So Hoyos, although I want to give him credit for that, was it the Colorado win or the RSL win? One of those wins. I want to give him credit for that. At the same time, I'm disappointed because I felt like that was poor managerial decision there. I think that kind of cost us. But defensively, I think it is just the way we play. I don't think it's so much the players at this point. I think it's the way we play because we have Yannick Bright. And if you put Rodrigo de Paul in an area where he is a little more free to push up like he wants to, they'll give him that defensive responsibility, then, maybe he can perform a little better.
Yeah, I think you nailed it on exactly how Inter Miami's trying to play, especially under Javier Mascherano. He wanted very aggressive center backs to try and win the ball higher up the field and create quick transitions for Messi. That's a solid strategy in theory, but the results maybe haven't been as lucrative as you would have hoped. And maybe it is a time for a more conservative defensive approach from a game plan perspective. I think that is part of this.
I think we've gotten to that point, especially when we're not just taking over and scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a game. Like, that's not our team right now, especially when we don't have any creativity out wide. Outside of Silvetti, you don't see any player taking anybody on one-on-one. Nobody can take anybody on one-on-one. Once you kind of close up and kind of play that compact defense, kind of just clog up the middle, we have nobody to go wide. And if
I don't know about that.
Wide, go ahead.
I think Segovia could take players one-on-one. I mean, he's not going to go wide with the defender, right, but I think that he's super capable.
I agree. But he is an inverted winger whenever he's playing out wide. You never see him play the ball down to the end line. He's always playing the ball into the center of the pitch. He just doesn't feel comfortable out there. The only players that I've seen out wide are Allende, and Region when he's playing. And Noah Allen actually was playing. He doesn't dribble into the box, but he'll give you some serviceable crosses. But Mura doesn't give you anything out wide. Jordi Alba isn't here anymore, so you can't play the ball out wide to him. So Silbetti is the only option, even though I don't feel like Silbetti has played to the level that I saw when he came in those first couple of games last year. I still think that I feel a lot more comfortable that we can create something when he's on the ball and we can kind of stretch the defense horizontally. Otherwise, they're just daring us to just cross it in because we're not going to break them down in the middle of the pitch, especially if we don't have Segovia or Luis Suarez there to combine with Messi. So I feel like that's been the biggest clog in our attack.
100%. And listen, Javier Mascherano had a preferred style of play, and he went to it 95% of his tenure. I don't think that's how you have to coach this team. I think when you get a new coach in, and even Guillermo Hoyos, we've seen him go two very different styles in his first 3 games. You can actually kind of manipulate spaces based on how you operate your game plan. And you talk about Silvetti on that left side as a guy that can give you some creativity, but you can do it with your fullbacks. You can do it with other players if it's how you want to play the game and if it's part of how you practice in training and how you attack an opponent. It didn't feel like we had a lot of flexibility or variability with Javier Mascherano, but again, that's part of why we're in a holding pattern now is we're going to get a new coach, and he might bring those types of things on a regular basis. Guillermo Hoyos, I want to give him a lot of credit for Wednesday night's victory against Real Salt Lake. I thought he game planned it to perfection, and even this past game, aside from the Facundo Mura decisions, both to start and to keep him on in the second half, I thought he did a lot of things right. And so if you get a new coach that's even higher level than a Guillermo Hoyos, who actually knows how to manipulate the opposition and manipulate his best players, like it doesn't feel to me like there's a personnel issue. I guess is maybe where I'd end with this. It feels like the tools are there if you can manipulate them in the right ways. You have left backs that can get things done. You have a right back, your best right back, your starting right back, Ian Frey, who can be a creative piece or at least an outlet to spread out a back line. And then you have a Silvetti, you can manipulate where Suarez plays. Like there are ways you can do this without just running the same thing over and over and over again. And that I think already exists on the team. It doesn't have to be imported in the summer or anything like that.
Well, and I think that this makes a big difference. I've been wanting to get to this comment. Rick A says these summer signings are all Hoyos products. You can bet anything you will continue to see Mura, DSC, Mikhail, and Bete, no matter how they perform. Hoyos needs to justify the money spent. I think that some of the pieces that he got makes a sort of critical decision in what he decides is coming on the pitch or not, no?
Well, Mikhail, I think, earned the way he's been playing. I think he's earned that spot. So I don't think you have to question. No matter who it is, I think he would be the starter. And I don't know about you, Scotty, but I think Dane Sinclair has improved throughout the season. He hasn't had those blunders like in LAFC where he's coming out ill-timed. He's had some time to save. Yeah, he's still not perfect. I think he's playing a new position. I know people don't want to hear that, but this is a completely new position to him. Coming from Minnesota, where they were defending with 5 right in front of him inside the box, they used to play with a low block. He never faced too many shots, especially not against the counter. I think this is a new position for him. And then the other two, though, I'm with you. Mura might keep getting playing time, and I'm not a fan of that.
Well, I do want to add something because the same person, whether it was Guillermo Hoyos, who was had his finger on the trigger on those calls, whoever was giving out new deals, also gave a new deal to Noah Allen, also gave a new contract to Yannick Bright, also gave a new contract to Ian Frey. Same team that was responsible for bringing and signing new players gave those players new contracts as well. So, like on the one hand, I get it. You want to have your new players come in and make an impact, but if they really felt good about these new guys, they didn't need to re-sign the players they had. They chose to give them new contracts, and as far as I can tell, those players have played much better than some of the new signings that they've brought in so far. Yeah. And the other thing is every signing is a little different, right? Everyone has their unique circumstances. Obviously, Berterame is a DP, $15 million. Dane Sinclair is trying to make the World Cup roster, and goalkeeper of the year, and Mikel's maybe on the downward, where he went to the big signing at Palmeiras and it didn't quite work out, so he needs to sort of reestablish himself. And then Facundo Moura, I think, is his own separate story because he was just kind of a free agent that we filled the need with. But if you're the new coach, it feels to me like you'd be watching all these games and seeing, and some guys are playing really well and some guys aren't, and everyone has their own politics involved. But some of these decisions make sense to me. Some of them not so much. This Facundo Moura one, I think, is particularly interesting to me. But we'll see. And again, if he starts Ian Fray next game and Facundo Moura goes to the bench, and it was just, I wanted to give Facundo Moura 3 straight games. I wanted to see if he could build into it. I want to see if he could get a rhythm. I'm fine with that. But it can't just be indefinite, you know?
We're 10 games into the season. I believe it's way too young to panic. Chris is already saying we're cooked. I think this team's going to change a lot in the summer. Even though Berterame is a DP, if he's not panning out, I don't think Inter Miami is moving like a regular MLS team. I think that they'll figure out a way to move him. I have no doubt that if there's a big name that wants to come here, like a Casemiro that everybody keeps linking us to, then he'll come. Now, this is what I've been questioning. I questioned it last year when we got Rodrigo de Paul. At the time, we had Cremaki, Bright, Redondo, and Busquets. And again, I understand that Casemiro is world class, but I feel like that's the position where we have some depth. Wouldn't you want somewhere else? Or are you okay with just getting another central defensive midfielder?
Well, I think it depends on what outgoings you have, right? Because if you get a Casemiro, but Yannick Bright goes to Italy and you sell David Ajala to recoup some of your money before he goes for free, then all of a sudden you don't quite have the same depth.
I don't see.
So I do think that matters.
Maybe, yeah, absolutely. No, if that happens, absolutely. But I'm just saying, I don't see any of those guys leaving right now.
Yeah,
I don't see Berterame leaving either, though.
In 2 months, can we talk about Berterame for a second? Because something has dawned on me over the last 48 hours that is making me nervous. Obviously, when he came in, he looked kind of lost, and he had. Once the regular season started, he really wasn't impacting games very much a lack of a connection between him and Messi. And it was like, okay, let's get him going. Just, he's going to have to figure it out. He's too good of a player to not figure out. Last 3 or 4 games, 3 goals in 4 games, 4-goal contribution streak. Plays defense, works hard, kind of gets into the box and just takes advantage of things, right? The last goal was just a tap in off of a block from a Suarez shot. His first goal, he scores off a turnover. I'm actually a little worried that this is what Berterame is. And what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 games is actually who he is as a player.
You mean his
just
ceiling?
Starting to get there. But if you think of what he's done over the last 4 games and you extrapolate that over a season, you see how he can score 20-plus goals in Mexico without being a huge difference maker. And so I guess my antenna is just starting to get up. Like, actually, this might be what his ceiling is, where he is scoring 3 out of every 4 games, but it's not this dynamic ultimate superstar that's changing games on a regular basis like maybe we would have expected from our DP signing. So that is something I'm on the radar for. Maybe this is actually what he is, and that would make me pretty nervous. And to Danny's point, if that is the case, I don't know.
That's crushing.
Keep him as a DP. Yeah, it's a problem.
It's $15 million of a problem, Danny.
Yeah, I've always thought
like we sat with Lujan for a lot of money.
Move him. I just don't know if they can. I don't know how they would do it, because I was very, very frustrated when they first signed him, because it was taking up the DP contract. I thought it was short-sighted. I thought it was basically just thinking about the CCC, and I said, what if we don't win the CCC? Then we just threw away this DP spot for the next year or two. Obviously, we didn't win the CCC, but I'm really hopeful that we don't have to get tied into this guy for too long, because honestly, if we do, to me, he's not a difference maker, much like you said. Now, I will tell you, I'd rather him starting than Suarez if we're going to have one of the two starting. Oh, something just happened at Chris's house. If we have to have one of the two starting, because at least he gives you some defensive input. Like he's gonna help defend. He's got that motor, right? Everybody's saying that he's got the work rate. And Luis Suarez, although I think he's a much better player, I like him in spurts. I'd rather Luis Suarez coming off the bench for 25, 30 minutes than starting alongside Berterame. I wasn't a fan of that lineup. Although, and everybody's like, oh, but they started off so hot. They played so well together. I felt like they played great together for the first 20, 25 minutes, which is what I want Luis Suarez for. I want him for 25 minutes a game. I felt like for the entirety of the game,
you just wanted at the end.
That it was good. I just want, you know what? Those solid 25 minutes he gave me with Berterame and Messi, what they were creating, give that to me at the end of the game. Once the defense is tired and you come in with some fresh legs. But I don't need that to start. I don't want him out there. And if it's going to be to start, then take him out in the 30th minute. I don't want to see that guy running out there for 90 minutes.
Yeah, but it doesn't even have to, if you will allow me, it doesn't have to be an either-or situation. Like, I think even if you move Berterame off the team, you can still play Silvetti and have Messi as a false nine and play another winger. Like, I don't want to make it a...
I would love that.
Right, and then Suarez can be a guy, okay, he starts once every 3 or 4 games, and in the other games he's coming in for 20 minutes. Like, he can be that player, even if Berterame is not on the field or on the team. So I don't want to get into, like, either or, because it doesn't have to be. I like Suarez.
Yeah, but then you're giving me Allende, though.
Well, could be Allende, could be Segovia.
Now you're selling me Allende on the right. I don't like that. I don't want to buy that, Scotty.
What if you get Segovia on the right and you have a midfield 3 with Ayala, Yannick Bright, and Rodrigo?
I'd rather get Pinter.
Okay, Pinter. Okay, sure, Pinter too. And again, if you get rid of Berterame, maybe you fill that DP spot with the guy that you fill in that front 3. You know what I mean? So it does give you a lot of flexibility, and it doesn't even have to be a DP. Maybe it's another U22 like Silvetti that you like from South America or something that gives you another tricky option. I think that moving on Berterame doesn't really mess everything up in a way that it would prevent Inter Miami from doing it. I think the real thing would be, can they get $12 million back? Can they sell him to Club America or something like that? Recoup some of that money? Would Portland be interested in him still? Something like that. But... yeah, I think Berterame is maybe a guy that isn't long for the team.
Portland wanted him last year.
Yeah.
You can have him, Phil Neville.
But can I mention something? Do you guys now remember how frustrating the Berterame signing was? Where he's like walking in the back of locker rooms, ignoring camera people, and walking in the airport, not giving anybody any attention. Nobody knew what he wanted to do at any point. You guys don't remember how frustrating it was to watch Berterame make a decision on whether he's going to go with Inter Miami or stay playing in that team in Mexico? You don't remember that, Danny?
I don't, but who cares?
What do you mean?
I remember.
How would we? I
remember that. I remember that whole thing happening on one Friday night in like 2 hours from never even thinking that was a possibility to it being confirmed by the time I went to bed on Friday night. I don't even think we had a chance to really react negatively because it was already like, well, it's happening. We better get on board.
Oh God!
And he came and he came to Colombia when he didn't have to.
I'm sorry. I just saw what Chris did. I'm sorry.
I start a comment. I start a comment, Scotty. So get ready because it's coming.
It's okay. I see it. No, I think the Berterame thing has just been disappointing, and the big deal is he doesn't connect with Messi that well, and that's the end of it really. If he had a great connection with Messi, he would have 8 goals by now, 9 goals by now. We'd still be in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and everyone would be happy. And because he doesn't, we're here.
How frustrating
is that? For what he came for.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. And you know what? You know who's probably not happy about it? Lionel Messi. So if you want some more fuel to this isn't going to be a long-term thing, I would imagine that's probably part of it.
Look, I kept saying before the season started that obviously minuscule chance that it happens, but I thought if he wins the Continental Trophy and the World Cup, they could throw his name in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. He probably wouldn't win it, but he wins the Continental Trophy and the World Cup. Maybe he has that conversation just one last time. Won't win it, but he'll be in the conversation. That's completely out the window now. So, yes, I agree. So I'm gonna ask Chris, Scotty, and the chat. I'm gonna ask all of you guys. If there was one DP signing, let's say we figure out a way to move on Berterame and we open up a DP signing. I don't want you to tell me a name. I want you to tell me a position. What position would you like to add a DP spot in? I'll start with Chris, and then chat, jump in also, and then after Chris, I'll go to Scotty. If you could just pick one position that you would like to fill in with a DP player, what would it be?
I'd probably go for like a winger. I'd probably go right winger. Yeah.
Okay. Scotty?
I think I would go for a striker, but one that has some flexibility. Like, not to be too jealous right now, but like Heung-min Son can play striker, can play winger, like can be an all across the board forward. That's where I would go. Yeah.
I would go right wing also. I'd go winger. Look, they're giving me names. Lewandowski. Lewandowski isn't happening, but I heard that he might go to Chicago. Midfielder / I would go winger also. I think if we had an impactful winger on that right side, I think that would make a world of difference. Left back.
Mike be saying
maybe
left back. We got. Yeah,
maybe
go ahead,
it would
Scott.
be Jordi Alba.
Jordi Alba.
Maybe Jordi Alba would be
back.
the DP. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he comes back.
And on top, we just had like Regilon coming in, and then the couple minutes that he comes in, he's great. But then he just doesn't stay alive in a whole game. Like he played one half, and then we haven't seen him since. He's still at Baptist.
But to Scotty's point earlier in the show, as you can see, you, Scotty, and everybody in the chat are saying they want something in the attack. Because although our defense seems to be leaking goals, I don't think it's the quality of player. It's the way we're playing. Because I don't think it's the quality of player. I think our defense, if we were to set up differently, we would be fine. Because I think the quality of player, I think Mikael is good. I think Falcon, although maybe not as well as he played last year, isn't bad. I think Lujan has showed a lot. Ian Frey back there, which when he pushes up, is good in both the attack and in the defense. So yeah, I think we need a little more juice in the attack, and that's what we're missing right now.
That being said, I think maybe I would spend a lot of money on a manager too if I got a blank check.
You think Xavi's the one coming?
I have a fear that there's only 3 coaches that are considered acceptable. One of them being Xavi, one of them being Scaloni, and the other one being Guillermo Hoyos. And whoever you want to blame acceptable on,
you know, it's funny you say that.
It makes me afraid that that's the case.
I think if Xavi doesn't come, I think Hoyos ends up being the manager for the rest of the year.
I'll tell you what. There's this guy from Argentina named Marcelo Gallardo, who I think would be a fantastic hire. Just on paper, at least. Just a fantastic hire. But I kind of think he's maybe not a real option because he doesn't have that connection. So I think you're right. I think it could be Xavi. Maybe it's Scaloni. Maybe it's someone from the Argentine,
It's definitely not Luis Enrique. So Claudio said Luis Enrique. Absolutely, that's not happening. I don't know. I think Hoyos ends up staying if Xavi doesn't come, and we're gonna ride out the rest of the year with him.
Falcao? Like what?
I'm wearing the Falcao kit. Maybe that's what they're talking about.
I mean, listen, Javi Morales was in the stands. He passed right by me by the concourse. Like, he should be coaching. What is he doing watching the game from the stands?
I think he thought Santi was going to play because they were so thin, and they still didn't put him in, but I think that's why he was there.
And he's so skilled, man.
Pep Guardiola. You know what? That would be a dream for me. If Pep were to be the manager here, but that's not going to happen. But could you imagine? I mean, I thought at one point that Messi playing here was a dream. Pep Guardiola. Do you think... All right, let me ask you this. Do you think there's still a chance that Neymar ends up here?
I think, yeah. I think there's a chance.
So
small,
do I.
Very small. But like,
I still think that's a possibility.
I think it is a possibility. Not as a DP though. Not as a DP.
No,
Would
not
have
at
to
all.
be
No.
like Suarez.
No, it would be a Suarez deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that they're still going to try to play because they keep talking about playing together. I think they're gonna try to do it for what 3-4 months.
Could make sense. Short season next year, 14 games.
Yeah,
Right?
and that'll be your winger that you're
Yeah.
talking about, Chris.
I mean, he'd be great. I mean, Orlando's got like 74 Emerson Rodriguez's. We can't get one of those.
Yeah,
Like,
Any more of those
remember
injuries.
what we were talking about on the MLS show? Like, I love that team now. Orlando looks amazing. Emerson everywhere.
All right. So just in a nutshell,
You're disrespectful, Danny.
okay.
You
In a
totally
nutshell,
bypassed
Scott,
the last position.
Which one?
What do you mean? I mean, look at the question right here by Gene Rome.
Okay, before I get to that, somebody else in the chat had said something about we need a new number 10. What do you think about Messi so far this year?
Very good. I think his numbers would look like they have always looked if he had a better connection with Berterame. I'm pretty surprised that connection looks just so bad, and more surprised that it hasn't gotten better over time. I think you watch Suarez come on the field, and for 5 minutes, you can see they already connect better. So it to me feels like now it's not a time, it's not a chemistry, it's just these two players don't fit together that well. And so when you take the guy who's supposed to be your top goal scorer, and he just doesn't give any assists to Messi, then the Messi assist numbers don't come. But I think creatively he's been fine. Everything you would want from him.
Yeah, and I think it's fair.
To assist, you need somebody to score.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's fair what Scotty's saying, and I think that it's kind of disappointing to see the lack of connectivity with Berterame when he, athletically speaking, it seems to be more capable, and you have Luis Suarez that's trotting half of his body out there and looking brighter and sharper with Messi on the pitch. And here you are, Danny, only wanting to see him the last 25 minutes of the game. Like, what's the difference if we get him in the beginning? What if they score a couple goals in the beginning? Wouldn't you rather have the lead early?
No. I was just looking up the stats. It says here. Now I have to double check this because this is interesting. This can't be accurate. According to FootMob, Messi's leading the league in expected. You know how XG is expected goals. He's leading the league in expected assists.
I believe it.
Jesus Christ! How horrible is that?
Did you see
that's even more of an indictment on Berterame.
Did you not see the Allende video that I cut up last season? Where he was giving gifts to Allende and Allende just blowing it left and right? What a mess.
All right, so I'll let Chris finish off because I know he wants to ask you a question.
Well, no,
Scotty.
go ahead. You were going to say something, Scotty, before I bulldoze us with goalie talk?
Yeah, just going back to the DP question, just kind of crossed my mind as I was reading the chat. Has to be someone from Europe too. Just please no more Liga MX players. Please no more Argentine
no.
players from Argentina. Not Argentines, but from the Argentine league. Like from the top 5 leagues, please. If you want a real difference maker, that's where you're going to find it. Or, maybe PSV or somewhere the highest level of the next couple leagues. But
I thought that Griezmann was going to end up coming here, honestly. And that's what I was holding out hope for. And then we signed Berterame. But that's what I was hoping to hold for. I thought Griezmann might end up being the striker for us this summer. All right, Chris, go ahead. Bring down the show.
Well, I mean, it's not bring down the show. You literally forgot to talk about the last position on the pitch. So, like, the people have questions here, Scotty, and I'm going to start it off with the goalie-poly. Goalie-poly coming your way, Dane St. Clair or Rocco. Is there flexibility with discussing the goalkeeper position? Because I saw your last episode, and I saw that you were looking at advanced statistics. And obviously, Dane St. Clair is, better, of course, than Ustari was last season. But is there flexibility to be able to say, hey, Rocco deserves a shot here?
I don't think there's any flexibility until the World Cup. No. I'm happy to have the conversation. I don't think Dane St. Clair's been good this year. In fact, I think he's been bad. But But I think you signed him as a free agent. He left money on the table as the defending goalkeeper of the year. And the reason he did that was he wanted to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and he wanted to be the starter at the World Cup for Canada. And so I think it would be a disservice to future recruiting efforts, future free agent efforts, to not at least give him to the World Cup to try and be the Canadian national team goalkeeper. After that, like, I think you can have very real conversations about switching to Rocco. I think you can have very real conversations about maybe moving Dane Sinclair to a different team and trying to get some value for him. But I think until the World Cup, it should be Dane Sinclair. I think he deserves that for what he gave up to come to Inter Miami. But yeah, the fun fact was Rocco Rios Novo, in terms of his shot-stopping numbers this year, I think he's 12th in the MLS, and he's only played one game in MLS play. So Rocco, I think, is the real deal, and I think they should give him a real look at the end of the World Cup.
Danny, you like numbers, okay?
Yes, I do.
There's numbers there, okay?
What numbers?
And you're looking I can't see you because you're looking stuff up and you're statistically analyzing things. You're frozen in time, and Scotty just blazed you with numbers. Okay,
what were the numbers? I heard 12 shots, 12 stops.
No. Rocco's, in terms of his shot-stopping numbers, like the advanced analytics, he's 12th in the MLS, 12th best goalkeeper, and that's only from one 90-minute performance against Charlotte.
Oh, come on. Well, for one game, you can't do that. That's sample size of one game.
No, I understand. My point is...
No, but you don't give fuel to this guy. This guy's a pain in the ass.
No.
Look at the goalie. It's 100%, Danny.
I want to be very clear. Rocco has been very good since he got to Inter Miami in every single game he's played in. This season, I think his game against Charlotte, his game in the preseason, just were an indication that his form is kind of right where it was last year. So, no, I think Rocco's a very real option, and I think you might be able to get some allocation money by moving Dane Sinclair in the summer. I would be kind of my plan right now. But give Sinclair the next 5 games.
Which is what I've been telling Chris. You got to give him to the World Cup.
Yeah,
no,
definitely,
just do it right now. You got to give him to the World Cup. You got to give him
I know he's going to get to the World Cup. Like, I know that. I just...
Yeah, but what I know, but you say you don't want that. And I'm telling you that he deserves to get to the World Cup.
Hey, Stanzy's calling you out right now, Danny.
But Danny, let me ask you this.
If you took just I'm sorry, real quick. If you just took the RSL game, and that's it, and that's the only game Dane Sinclair played this year, guess what? He'd be top 10 also in the goalkeepers. If you just pick one game, Dane Sinclair had a great game against RSL.
But guess what? I don't know. He didn't have that many other great games.
What do I always tell you, Chris? I love numbers. Why? Because they can tell you a story, and I can make it tell you the story that I wanted to tell you.
Oh my gosh!
That's why I love numbers. You can manipulate them to tell you whatever you want. They don't lie, but they can be manipulated. I can tell you a nice story and tell you Dane Sinclair is the best. What's up, Scotty?
Do you think Dane Sinclair is like a good goalkeeper for this team? We've seen him now for 1,000 minutes. It's not a small sample size. Like, I get that you want to settle in or whatever, and I agree. I totally agree. He should get till the World Cup because you want to support him in that dream, and so I'm totally down with that. But after that, like, I think we've seen enough to know Dane Sinclair is not going to be an MLS Goalkeeper of the Year type player at Inter Miami with the current setup, with the current structure. So, like, I think I would be.
I don't think any keeper is going to look good here. With the amount of counterattack, no, don't do it with that one game. The amount of counterattacks that this team has against them, like, who's going to look good on constantly getting played one-on-one? And when we got Dane Sinclair, that was the first thing we had that episode, and I said, this guy isn't going to be good for us. He's not good with his feet. That's the reason we got rid of Drake Callender. He's not good with his feet. This guy isn't used to stopping one-on-one opportunities. He's not good against the counter. He's not good at coming out of the box. He's never had to do it because in Minnesota, they played a low block all the time. I said, this guy is, yes, goalkeeper of the year, but don't expect what you're expecting from goalkeeper of the year because this is a completely new team for him and a completely new way of playing the game. Now, what's happened over the last 2 months is that Chris has hammered the whole Rocco thing over my head so much that I've started to hate Rocco. I can't stand the guy. I can't stand him, and I want Dane Sinclair to be the keeper on this team for the next 10 years. That's how much Chris has annoyed me. I want Dane Sinclair to just be the keeper forever.
Okay, well, I will just say I'm on Chris's side that based on their play on the field over the last 15 games each, right? The preseason and the regular season this year for Dane Sinclair, and the 15 games that Rocco had last year.
That's not fair because
Rocco's a
those
better
last 6
goalkeeper.
games. No, because no. In that playoff run when Rocco got to start, he faced 20 shots in 7 games. The defense changed its setup over those last games. Jordi Alba stopped pushing up as much. They let Silvetti take the ball on the left side, and they just would not give up shots like they did. Rocco didn't have as much to do in that playoff run, so he looked so much better. If Rocco is playing this season, he looks just like Dane St. Clair.
I will just say that it was not just those last 6 games for Rocco last year. If you go back and look at his Leagues Cup run, some of the earlier games, he was good throughout. He really was. And we didn't give him enough credit because at the time we thought, it's just a third-string goalkeeper. When Drake gets back, it'll be Drake versus Star or whatever. But I don't think you should underrate Rocco. I think he's been very, very good. And Dane Sinclair, I think, has been.
And I think he fits the system.
And the really sad part about this is I was so excited for Dane Sinclair. I was like, this is the guy we need. He's going to be the guy that saves a goal every other game for us. And he's been surprisingly good with his feet and surprisingly bad at saving a goal every other game for us. So I wanted it to work so bad, but I do think at some point we kind of have to decide. For both him and for us, this isn't it. Because if he wants to go to Europe and be a superstar and do his thing there, he can't have this film coming off of this season with Inter Miami. If he goes to another team and he looks like the MLS Goalkeeper of the Year again, he'll have all those opportunities again. So I wouldn't be surprised if they broke up this summer.
I didn't think that he was the guy for this team specifically, but I take him over Rocco, and that's where I'm at.
You're a mess. You're a mess.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll teach their own.
No, it's Chris. I hate that guy. I hate Chris so much.
I mean, you just want to be a loser is what you want to be, but that's, I guess.
Scotty, I appreciate you taking the time to join us for this month's State of the Herons. Please let everybody know where they could find you.
At Scotty Grays is on Twitter, and then you can find me and my co-hosts or doing the Drv Pink Dialogue on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. It's on the screen if you are or if you're watching on YouTube, and on Spotify, you can just the Drv Pink Dialogue. Appreciate it, guys.
It's gonna be pretty cool when 10, 15 years from now, if you're still doing it, they're gonna be like, "Why do you call it the Drv Pink?" Right?
I'm sure people are already starting to think
they might already ask, because that's right, because Chase Stadium was around a little longer,
yeah.
So, Chris, any final words?
You're a loser. That's my final words right there. Really, I mean, 100% according to the polls. Just FYI.
We are not in the CCC semifinals coming up tomorrow and Wednesday.
Because we lost.
We were eliminated. But there are 4 teams that are going to be in it, and we're going to be previewing that with our guest in a couple minutes on the Battered Soccer Show. So make sure that you join us at 10 o'clock. We'll be talking CCC for those of you that can stand the pain of talking about a tournament in which we got eliminated from without losing. So it hurts, but we're going to do it. So make sure you join us for that Battered Soccer fans in a couple minutes. So make sure you join us for that. Go ahead.
Did you guys watch the Nashville Club America series?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so much fun.
I spent 180 minutes thinking, man, Inter Miami would have beaten this team, Club America, both at home, first win ever at Miami Freedom Park, and at the Azteca. And it would have been amazing. Instead,
it would have been
historic.
Just spent
the entire time jealous. Yeah.
So it would have been historic. First win at this stadium and the first win in Azteca for any MLS side.
I know.
So, anyways,
thanks for having me.
It hurts.
Guys.
It hurts. No, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time. And again, make sure that you join us for that. Take that care of Danny after they did. Well, just for the record, I only have it because of Falcao. That's why.
Because of Falcao.
Yeah, that's it. I got a lot of just random kits that Colombians and Americans played for. So, all right. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Please 5 stars in a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And Soares is like a man of mystery. He's hard to find. So make sure that you catch him on Drv Pink because the man is busy all the time. Make sure that if you're watching on YouTube, you like and subscribe. And we will be back on Wednesday. And then again, in a couple minutes for the Battersock fans, where we're going to be previewing the Champions Cup semifinals. So until the next one, have a good one.